Hi everybody, welcome back to COMM 336 Search and Display. I'm your host, Bryce Whitwam. We are now on Lesson 7. Lesson 7, Week 7. We are officially halfway through the course. Hope you're learning something. Hope you find it enjoyable. You enjoy the discussions. You've started on your midterm by now. I should have it done by this lesson. And you will start on your Google AdWords certification. That's what today is all about, Google AdWords certification. Taking a bit of a detour from user experience, SEO, and local search. Today, we will focus on SEM, search engine marketing. SEM and SEO oftentimes are distinguished by pay and not pay. Well, it's not really true. SEO is the organic stuff, the stuff that you do to improve your search capabilities, while SEM is often associated with paying money, using ads, and buying keywords that will help improve your performance. The reality is that SEO is a part of SEM. It's part of the whole experience. And maybe that was coined by Google, I don't know. But the idea is that your optimization and marketing is all important components. And every brand, every organization, every company should be practicing a form of SEO and SEM. But the reality is it's all SEM. So, as I said, you should start your Google AdWords certification, and this course today will help build that foundation of what really Google happens, or what happens on Google AdWords. So, without further ado, let's get started with the lesson today. As I said, today's lesson is about Google AdWords. By the end of this course, you should be able to do the following. You should be able to explain how Google Ad Auction works, all the components of it. You should have a good sense of why it does what it does and the important things that you need to know to improve your business performance on Google AdWords. You'll be able to describe ad rank versus bid. You'll be able to define quality score, an important aspect of the Google AdWords model. You'll also be able to name and identify those three components that make up a quality score and how to improve it. The reality is there's lots of components to a quality score, but pretty much everyone's identified three big ones, and we'll talk about those. Finally, you'll be able to name the three controllable levers to improve performance. It's important not only to understand what quality score is, but of course how to get a quality score in the first place. And the reality is that Google AdWords and search engine marketing is pretty formulaic. You just follow these rules. The reality is, though, that it's often a guesswork job, and that oftentimes brands will do many tests and determine which is the best possible outcome. There's really no straightforward practice. It's really about test and learn and test and learn. You will understand those three controllable levers that will help you improve that performance that results in a quality score and gets you great search engine marketing performance. But before I get started, let's talk about what are people really doing on Google. We talked a lot about this already, but I narrowed it down to two basic things. You're either browsing, you're just kind of looking for stuff, looking for a particular product, or maybe you're looking for a recipe for something. In this case, I put best Bluetooth headphones for working out. This is a browsing exercise where we're just kind of looking for stuff. On the other hand, we have solving, where you're attempting to solve a particular problem. This is like somewhere the near me comes into play. Or in this case, you're looking for plumbers because you have a plumbing disaster and you need someone to come within 24 hours, like right away. So that's really solving a problem. So Google does both browsing. In this case, you can see the results. Our intent is to browse, so it provides us a lot of paid search opportunities. On the other side is solving, and that is we really need a plumber right away because, yeah, as you can see on the floor here, we're knee deep in water. As I mentioned at the outset, SEM. It's a little bit different than SEO. The reality is that SEO is a part of SEM. SEM fundamentally is the digital process of increasing traffic from search engines primarily through paid ads or organically. That's why I said SEO is a part of SEM. The goal is to increase visibility in search engines by achieving higher rankings in organic search results or top positions for ad placements. It's really about all those combination tools that help us to improve our search engine capabilities. And yes, AI search is now a part of SEM. In this lesson, I'm not talking about AI search, but we'll get into that later. But certainly, improving your AI performance in the AI overview and search is also a key factor of SEM. It's basically everything. SEM, the key part about SEM is that you only pay for intent, pay per click. That means that unless people click on it, they don't pay. You don't pay for it. So essentially, it's only about the intent that is really covered. So search engine marketing is generally three components. The pay per click, PPC is played. That is the paid traffic from search ads. You have your local SEO, which we talked about last week, those free visibility on local search results. And then finally is the SEO, that free traffic from organic search results. And if you look at an SERP, you will see these all very clearly laid out. On the top is your pay per click, your SEM type of results. These are your paid Google ads where you'll see sponsored or you'll see clicks to e-commerce websites. Below that could be a map. Underneath this is sponsored ads. And then below that is your organic search results, kind of how the SRP is set up. As I said, you only pay for when someone clicks, SOMEONE, clicks on your ad. That's, as I said, it's pretty much on the left here, you can see how it's set up. So your pay per clicks, pay per results on the top, your local SEO, and then SEO on the bottom. And as here in my plumbing emergency 24/7, you can see this clearly that Roto-Rooter 24/7 emergency planning ad has come up on the top. That is definitely a paid per search results. Roto-Rooter will only pay when I essentially click on that link. Once I click on that link, then there is money exchanged. I guess you're asking then, why doesn't just Google pay for the highest bidder? In this game of auctioning, is it just that? If you pay the most, can you get your name on the top of the list? Well, no, it doesn't, because Google has essentially two types of customers. They have users, people like us. They want relevance. They don't want trash. They don't want to be able to search and find out they're just being littered with ads. And I would argue that in the recent years, Google has really failed users on this, because I somehow think sometimes we are littered with lots of ads and not much relevance. The other one is advertisers. They want results. So if the ads suck and the search results are not what you want, users will stop trusting the page. They'll go on other platforms like Amazon, maybe even TikTok or Reddit to find out the results that they want. And if the advertisers aren't getting clicks, then what's it use to them? They won't invest in Google anymore. Now, I put a search page on this page from China, which is Baidu, which is essentially the Google of China. Baidu suffers from this greatly. It is a pay-per-play environment where if you type in anything, in this case I put in Bluetooth headphones in Chinese, and every single one of these results is a result of a paid ad. You know that there's no organic search. And as a result, Chinese people are very suspicious of Baidu's results, and they don't go on Baidu search very much. So in a sense, it's not that great of an experience. So Google has tried to improve on that by making sure that your search results are relevant to you. So those that are relevant to you will make you keep coming back to the platform. So what is the Google Ads auction? You basically bid for keywords and keyword search combinations or ads, and then it's a process that determines which ads are displayed on Google search results pages and in what order. the auction takes place instantly. So it's not an auction that happens every month or every week. It happens literally in milliseconds. That this transaction between the advertisers and Google happens very, very quickly. And there's all these elements that the algorithm uses to determine who gets the top poll ranking. As I mentioned before, first page on Google is key. No one, only about 1% of the American population will go to the second page to search. So it's really important that you make sure that you get on that top page because people generally won't scroll past that at all. Entering the Google Ads auction, as I said, it runs constantly every time someone searches in real time. Competing advertisers change by query and context. So how does Google determine who gets on the top poll position? Again, it's about context, it's the query, it's all these things that make up the reasons that people will result or get their search placement first. The first one is ad rank. Your position on the search results on your bid. If you pay a lot of money, that will get you a better poll position. As I said, it's not a guarantee of that, but if you're willing to pay top dollar to be posted on the top of the search, there will be a stronger reason for Google to consider you to get that position. The second is the ad quality. I'll get into details of what I mean by ad quality. When I mean ads, I'm not talking about a 30-second ad. I'm talking about those kind of sponsored text ads that you see in your Google search. Google assesses relevance and usefulness of your ad via a quality score, which factors in a lot of different things. It estimates your click-through rate, the number of times people will click on your ad, its relevance to the query, and the landing page experience. Again, ranking improved even in paid search through user experience. So you need to make sure that all those things that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, your bounce rates are minimal. All those things have to be taken into account. And finally, ad extensions and formats. Additional info, site links, call buttons will always enhance the impact. If you're going to create an ad, it's better that you send your users to a particular page. That page is all set up to service those customers that are looking for that particular product. You don't want just to send them to the main page and they have to go and spend a lot of time looking for the particular product. You want to send them to that product. Google rewards you for that service. If you are providing additional site links and call buttons, anything that will increase the experience, you will get a better search capabilities. The other way of improving your auction process is through quality score. Quality score is a very important part of the Google Ads process, and you will learn a lot about quality score when you take your accreditation. Google's way, it's really Google's way of measuring quality and relevance of your ads, keywords, and landing pages. It's kind of a big recipe of different stuff that Google puts into its algorithm to determine your quality score. It's based on a 1 to 10 score. But the important thing is that Google rewards you. It rewards you for high quality scores. It improves your ad position, but it also lowers your cost. In other words, if you have a high quality score, like a 9 or a 10, then you will pay less money for each cost per click. As I mentioned to you, you only pay for intent. You only pay for that time when people actually click on the ad. And then finally is context of the search. Again, similar to our last week's local search, Google looks for context in terms of what you're looking for. If you're looking for a specific location, a device, time of day, search intent. In this case, I was looking for a dim sum that was open 24 hours. Since I live in Chinatown, there happens to be like 4 or 5 places that are open till midnight. The search will effectively focus on my intent. What am I looking for in the context of the search? And it will focus on those important things. The Google auction process will reward those places that essentially service my needs more than just any old dim sum place that may be closed after 9 o'clock. I'm looking for a place that's open late night, and that's the context of the search. And subsequently, Google AdWords, the auction will improve on that. The final factor is competition. This is the number and quality of other advertisers competing for the same keyword will also affect your ad placement. If you're submitting a very generic type of keyword purchase, then it will be very much indicative of your competitors and how much they pay for that particular word. That's why it's usually encouraged you try to avoid buying generic words that will simply make it more competitive to be able to get that pole position on the Google Ads search words. So in a sense, competition, the number of people competing against you, remember it's an auction, happens in milliseconds. Context helps, relevance helps, quality score helps, but the reality is it's about the bucks. And many times those who pay the most money will get that quality position with all factors taken into account. So here's an example. If you think of just a generic word like shampoo, like who would buy shampoo? Well, in this case, lots of retailers, this company called Pros, I've never heard of them before. It's kind of a stupid buy if you ask me. Why would they sponsor this result for simply the word shampoo? You often get a lot of retailers here, Walmart, Amazon, they will buy up a lot of generic words. And normally a word like shampoo is going to be very, very expensive. Now, if I add soothing natural ingredients shampoo, I get a different result. In fact, Pros also comes up on this site, but then I get a few other choices as well. The idea is that in keywords buying, you want to be able to be more descriptive, to provide those specific details that help narrow the search possibilities and giving you a better quality result. I found this online. I thought it was really interesting. If you're interested in what are the most expensive keywords, that means that the cost per click, those, if you click on these words, they cost you the big bucks. That would be business services, bail bonds, casino, lawyer, asset management. These are the most competitive words on Google AdWords, and subsequently the most expensive to pay for. So every time someone clicks casino, someone pays $55 for that particular search. Again, because they are very competitive. So let's get more specific about how the Google auction works. As I mentioned, it's about a search query that triggers an auction. You type in something and then the auction begins and the user starts a search query. There's an ad rank calculation based on bid and quality score. There's ad placement, which the highest rank are placed in the top positions. And then the cost per click, as I said, is impacted by your quality score. The higher quality score, the less you pay. So in effect, improving your quality score lowers your CPC. This was just done on my site. I was just playing around. I have a podcast and I have a website called John Station for my podcast. And I thought, well, what would it be if I went on Google AdWords and started to think about paying for ads to track people to my site? My goal would be to increase visitors to my site and to increase web traffic. That's it. I'm not really selling anything per se, but Google AdWords will lead you through that process and ask you specific questions. What it does, it also audits my site, and you can see on the right-hand side, and provides me a lot of suggested keywords. It even creates an ad for me. You can see these AI automation tools now are incredible. It also talks about what my quality score might be and the percentage of quality of this ad, which they say is fairly average. In other words, there's just not a lot of people looking for China marketing solutions that will click on this. But subsequently, I could try and see where it went. Now, in the end, I chickened out. I didn't do it, but I just wanted to show you this as an example. So literally, you can play around this yourself. you can go on Google AdWords and you can set up an account, type in a website, and then pretend that you are actually going to buy keyword search. It will provide you some solutions, and within that query, it will provide you a suggested ad, which I've got here on the bottom screen. So how do you win at Google Ads auction? There's a lot of ways that you can improve your chances for Google Ads auction. It's not just a pay for play. As I said, Google AdWords doesn't just want to pay for the highest bidder. They want to make sure that they improve the experience. Well, they claim they do. What is included in a good quality score? There's lots of elements. There is ad relevancy. Is the ad relevant to the search intent? Is there historical performance? But click-through rate, all these things is the wheel of quality score. But in a sense, people have essentially whittled it down to 3 important aspects of a quality score. The first one is your expected click-through rate. Yes, the algorithm can determine, based upon your quality of all these parts, what your click-through rate might be. It also looks at your landing page experience. Is it a good landing page experience? Are all your attributes are in line? And then finally, what's your relevance of the ad? Ad relevance is about a 22% factor in your quality score. So if it's relevant to this particular search intent, or that would come up based upon what you're looking for, then it will reward you handsomely with a good quality score. Here's just an example of quality scores and how it looks within Google AdWords. Again, you will learn about this in the ad certification. I just found this online about fitted wardrobes, fitted bedrooms, all these type of things for particular furniture construction needs. And you can see on the right here that Google will estimate the quality score. And for some reason, fitted bedrooms, which is a 10 out of 10 for a quality score. So it's probably a good idea to put all your eggs in the fitted bedrooms basket because you got a high quality score, which I said means that your click-through rate, or your click-through rate, or your CPC, cost per click, actually will be less money than if they click on something like built-in wardrobe, which probably has a less high quality score. Ad relevance, as I said, and CTR make up 61% of the quality score algorithm. So relevance and click-through rate, the estimated click-through rate, again, is those 2 elements. And as I said, your cost per click decreases, as you can see here on this chart, as your relevance score goes up. So here's a good example of that. Dresses versus red dresses. If you are selling red dresses, but then you just buy dresses, then you're essentially competing with a whole bunch of different sellers of dresses to get to that red dress. If you look on the right, in this case, I believe it's Nordstrom and Zara, they bought ads for red dresses only. And essentially, since I'm focusing my search on a red dress, my red dress search comes up right away. And Zara and Nordstrom will win. So it's important, therefore, to think about creating ad groups and thinking about all the different elements and sub-segment of your product and create an ad for each one of those. You could have literally hundreds of them based upon every SKU. Because when consumers search, they'll look for specifics. And within those specifics, you want to be rewarded for them, the search, and being able to come up right away. So obviously, in this case, the ad here for Zara and to Nordstrom has a high quality score. And they also probably would come up for dresses, but their search result would be way, way down on the list. So in summary, how to win. Quality. Focus on quality. Write a compelling ad or copy. Make it very clickable. Make it something that people would really want to click on and find out more information about. And I'm sure that many of you have had that experience and you see something that seems like, wow, it's very compelling. I really want to find out more. Use highly relevant words that match your user intent. Red dresses as opposed from just dresses. Put them in your headline and your hyperlink. Zara did that. They had a link specifically for red dresses. They put it in the headline. It went right to red dresses as opposed from dresses. That's a great example of highly relevant content experience. And then optimize that page to provide that maximum user experience, as we've talked about in previous lessons. Also, leverage ad extensions. Use the extension callout, structured snippets, and site links to improve your ad's visibility and relevance. You can see what I mean by that. Those are the things underneath the search column itself. You can see here the find words under the 4.7 rating, the time of day, the quality of the product. All these little snippets will improve your search results. And then finally, test and retest different options and find out which one works. Many big companies will have people that just focus on search engine optimization, search engine marketing. They do this for a living. They're literally testing and retesting every single ad copy possibility to see which one works. Here's one that's for a 3D Studio Max training. This is based upon satisfaction. The other ad below it is on an 18-month trial. Well, both seem very compelling to me. One is more of a call to action. It talks about the quality of the product. The other one below talks about this 18-month opportunity. Which one will people click on? I don't know. You have to try both of them and see which one sticks. Usually in the A/B testing mode of search engine marketing, we do this constantly, and you'll be constantly testing new ideas and retesting and then finding out which was their best opportunity. There's a lot of changes, and I mentioned just on my website, there's more automation and AI recommendations. There's more reliance on assets and responsive formats. There's a lot happening on Google Ads. Hopefully that you'll get you'll touch some of that in your lesson, in your certification that you'll be taking place. These AI recommendations will make it easier for you to test and retest and being able to see what's the optimum solution that you could get. It just makes it a lot easier than before. And then finally, you'll be receiving this. You'll be receiving this Google Ads Search certification, obviously with your name, not Benjamin's name in the certification, but you'll be able to get this from this course. As I said, I think it's still important. I still think it's important to have this put in your LinkedIn, put in your resume maybe to say that you've got your Google Ads Search certification. It's really important that you understand these things. So that concludes my lesson today about Google AdWords. I hope you found it really interesting and fascinating. I just think that the whole process is interesting. It's an ongoing process. It's very technical. There's lots of specific details that to add, change, and manipulate. The important thing is that it's an ongoing thing. You just don't do it and leave it. You're constantly going back, changing, rechanging, manipulating, seeing what works. It's always ongoing. So that's my lesson today. If you have any questions, please reach out to me and have a great day.